Hello, hello, welcome in. Hope everyone is having a great Thursday. We're going to be getting started in a couple of minutes here. Just going to give everyone a couple minutes to get settled in. All right, just aligning my windows a little bit here. Just a couple of housekeeping things for anyone that has not joined one of these before. This presentation is, of course, being recorded, so you will be able to share it with your colleagues later on, and I'll mention that again in a couple of minutes, but just wanted to make sure that we all know from the top. We are also going to be using the Q&A feature, which is available. It should be at the bottom of the screen. So throughout the presentation, feel free to use that as well. And again, I'll mention that again later, but just wanted to make sure everyone is ready to go with questions. Awesome. But just a couple more seconds before we do get started. I still see the attendees number rising pretty consistently, so we'll give it a couple more seconds here. All right, I think we are good to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Kapansky. Thanks for joining us today for another best practice webinar. Today, we will be covering strategies to navigate change and enhance client experiences. As for the hosts for today, of course, myself representing Wealthbox. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Chris Kapansky, Senior Product Specialist here at Wealthbox. I've been here for 8 years and enjoying every minute of it. But we're also joined by Jennifer Goldman of my virtual COO. But Jennifer, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, guys. So I'm Jen Goldman. I'm out of Massachusetts. And for those that you don't know me, I've grown up in the industry, started at age 22 as an advisor, planner, went through a couple firms, became COOs, and then I started consulting. That's my story.
Awesome. Well, very excited to have you here. So for everyone joining us throughout today's presentation, if you do have any questions, feel free to type those in at the bottom. There should be a Q&A option. And at the end, Jen and I will be able to address those. Also, keep in mind that this presentation is being recorded, so you will have the opportunity to share the video with your colleagues in the future. So before I do hand it off to Jen for today's presentation, we are joined by a good amount of Wealthbox users as well as non-Wealthbox users. So I wanted to quickly introduce Wealthbox to anyone that is not familiar. Wealthbox is a modern, easy-to-use CRM for financial advisors. We do offer complimentary migrations from any other CRM to help you get started. If you would like to check us out, you could head on over to wealthbox.com, click on book a demo to learn more. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and reintroduce Jen here to jump right into our presentation. So Jen, over to you.
Absolutely. All right. Ready for me to share my screen and get going? Here we go.
Sure.
All right. Make sure that you can see the screen.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All set.
Awesome. So I'm just going to move the bar down below and move all these little pop-ups. We're good. So thanks for coming today. I know it's more of time out of your day and it's an investment in you and the business. And I hope that you get out of this what you'd love. And certainly at the end, there'll be the typical QR codes and an email address so you guys can reach out afterwards if you have any follow-up questions. Alrighty, so we're going to jump right in and I'm going to give you the outline as I always do, and then we'll go into the meat and potatoes. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of a true story, and then we're going to talk a little bit about change fatigue because all of the things we talk about are about change. I'm going to give you a little science behind it, which I think is pretty cool. And then the techniques, and then we're going to celebrate with a little bit of clarity on a technique you can use with your whole business company and providers. All right, so here we go. Okay, so first, true story, and not to bring you down, but to tell you what's going on out there. And this is a story, obviously, I'm not going to give you names, okay? But it's happening a lot. So I don't know if you can relate to this, but there's a lot of businesses and a lot of people in the business that are really seeking more energy. And they want it because they want to work on the business just as much as in the business. And they're also experiencing, especially in first quarter, lower new client and new revenue growth. So we have the markets up, but we don't have the revenues coming up from new clients and growth. And they're really overwhelmed with improvements needed. And a lot of it, this is, again, a true story about a business, single digit profitability. So when you really look at the numbers, they're just not rewarding like they should be. Okay. And in addition, in this story, this firm, they're getting a low number of testimonials. They're getting a low number of referrals. And the client is now really asking and saying, I want direct contact with the doer in your team, not the gatekeeper. So the gatekeeper could be the lead advisor. The gatekeeper could be the person answering the phones. They want to go directly. So they're basically asking for a better client experience. And they're kind of hinting to it with a lower number of testimonials and referrals. So let's get out of that. All right. But to get out of that, we've got to understand change. And one of the things about change is, I don't know about you guys, but we're tired. I'm tired. And I transform businesses for a living. Change is hard, and you got to look for the signs in yourself and on your team. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some signs. I'm going to give you some, and I'm going to give you the solutions, because that's what I'm all about. And I'm going to give you the science behind it so you can understand what's going on. So a lot of things we're seeing missing in action, like that scrappiness to learn and bring it on and let's do something new. That's missing a lot more than it ever has been. That's a sign. Visibly tired, certainly stressed out. We get it. Resistance. People not willing to buy in and to do your own resistance. You're not willing. And then a little bit of skepticism, right? Why is this going to work? How's this going to work? Could you explain it more fully? Taking a lot of time explaining the change. So let me give you some positive pivots. Okay. These techniques actually work. They're not to be done all at the same time. They're to be done based on where you are in the business. And I call this like a secret sauce, but it's not really that secret. And there's 5. Okay. One is to visualize. One is to do the purpose-focused business planning. One's to do the client and the operations experience chart. Old but goodie for anyone who's followed me before is the IDEOS senior processes. And we're going to jump in and actually have a little fun with that. And then the state of the company Prezi, which is a presentation to your company, to your business. And hey, listen, you're one man to yourself. It works. All right. So let me give you the benefits of doing these, and then we're going to jump into the specifics. When you do this, less effort and energy used to understand why you're changing. What does that leave? More energy to accomplish more, quicker results, happier team, happier clients. We all know what happens when our clients are happy. They refer, they rave, and they talk about us. Okay. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds to read this, because if I talk, you won't get it. So in summary, what this slide says is that what you see goes into long-term memory, taps the emotions quickly, but allows us to process the information much more efficiently, and I would say effectively. We are so fortunate to live in an age where we have this actual data. It's amazing, right? Also, what I don't have on here, and you can, well, a little bit more tied in, 65% of humans are visual learners. So as you're doing things in the business, what you're doing with the visuals is you're activating your prefrontal cortex. Now, let me explain that the difference between that and the amygdala. This is really important. When you're verbally talking to somebody about a change idea, could be a client, could be a staff member, could be yourself, right? Okay. Your amygdala is triggering off and you're going into flight or fight. When you visualize, your amygdala doesn't trigger. Your prefrontal cortex does. And that's where your rational and logical brain is. Okay. So in essence, don't trigger your amygdala, because you'll get into this whole like mixture, and don't do this on other people. Go visual and you'll get the rational and the logical. You'll get better attention, better memory, better problem solving. So there's the science. Now let's get into it. Okay, I always visit this. It doesn't hurt to always refresh. When you're working on your business and you're thinking about changes, so it could be something as small as a minute process, a cash movement. It could be as big as, you know what, we're going to change the portal for the client. It doesn't matter. It's a change, right? It's a change in habit, change for outside parties. You want to not only put down the what somewhere visually, but you want to put why. Now, I'm a big believer in having like only 3 P's in a GY, which is, does it help with productivity, profitability, my people's, clients, or staff, or growth? You can pick your whys and make them different every time. I just like consistency, right? And then the when, and then the who. And this is really important. This is based on actually some Japanese studies. Doing the what, the why, when, and then who brings absolute purpose to every change. It increases the buy-in. And the beauty for all of you that are using Wealthbox is there's a tool in there called projects. So the minute it hits the what, why, when, and who, stick it in the system because you're ready. You're ready to take it out and implement it. Okay. So purpose-focused business planning with the 4 W's. Oh, and by the way, there is a handout at the end. So don't worry about memorizing all this, even though it is visual. Okay, CXOX. So client experience and operations experience. So we've all heard ad nauseum about segmenting your clients and, thinking about the different services and so forth. Well, let's take this up a notch. We don't only want to just segment and write like the avatar of what the traits are. We kind of want to know what the average revenue will be, who's going to be servicing on the team, and then what things are proactive versus reactive. So I realize how simple this might look, but this is a mind-blowing exercise. We've worked with businesses that have shed 70% of their clients after doing this, because when you write and visualize, you start to see why you're so exhausted. You start to see why the P&L doesn't look so rewarding. And I'm not saying you should shed, but you definitely then will address and identify areas that you can improve. So now when you put the change on the business plan, you'll have the purpose behind it and it'll tie into data. And now you have the perfect buy-in, because how can a team or yourself even reject that? Now it's a question of just when to do it. So the reason I put the Wealthbox tags at the bottom is one of the first things is to tag your different clients into the segments in the system. Now, why do you do that? I'm not going to keep flipping through slides, but the tags are a visual reminder that your clients do fall into different segments. And so don't treat them all the same. Even if you're starting out in the business and you have 5 clients, don't treat them the same if they're not really the same. Okay. If you want to scale, you got to think in terms of bigger. And how would you handle it when you were bigger? Okay. So this is about lean. And for any of you who follow Lean Six Sigma. So I created this a long time ago. So this is an oldie but a goodie, as I call it. We're going to actually play around a little bit today and do a little visual exercise. So before you, Chris, don't share the link yet. Just hold on. We'll do it in a second. So let me explain this for anybody who's new to this. So when you want to improve the client experience, or for that matter, your internal operations experience, which then makes your team happy, which then makes the clients happy. So again, experience for the clients. You want to follow this mindset to kind of strip out anything that isn't necessary. So again, let me give you 5 seconds to read on your own, and then I'll cover it. So anytime you touch on something in the business that you do repeatedly, the first thing you want to think while you're doing it, and you'll get used to this comes like an involuntary habit, is to think, could I integrate anything to cut down on the work? Delegate it to somebody else that needs to learn it or do it, who's better maybe. Can I eliminate it either through automation or literally say no more? Should I outsource this? because my time is better spent doing something else or other people? Or should I staff differently, like switch people around to their better skills, passion lanes, and so forth? So IDEOS is like something that you, again, eventually do involuntarily, but this is something to cement in your head. Now, what we're going to do, Chris, go ahead and share the link. We're going to parlay this into visualization, and I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So if you guys could go to your chat and click on the link and join me on another board, that would be great. And I see you all joining. And don't worry about the nickname you were given by this software. They have a little fun with the nicknames. So I'm going to let you guys jump in. Oh my goodness, we're climbing. Newest to, yay. Okay, we're getting there. All right. So I'm not going to I could have done a poll on this. I didn't want to make this complicated today. I wanted to just kind of get to it. So here's what we're going to do. And the reason we're going to do this, it's called muscle memory. All right. When you do something that's taught to you in a visual form, it will stick. So let's do it. What we're going to do today is you guys can pick either the left side of the board or the right, but let me give you the rules of how to move around Lucid if you don't know, because I can tell some of you really know how to do this. Right click on a white space, hold the mouse down on the right click side. This is if you're right-handed, and then you can drag the board around. Right click, hold it down, and drag the board. Second, that bottom right, there's a bigger, smaller, zoom out, zoom in. Yep, everybody go ahead, move it around. I know how this works and we're good. All right. Third, double clicking on a sticky note lets you type in it. When you double click and then start typing, yep, hello, hi, hey. Okay, awesome. Now, in the past, we used to do this on walls, right? We used to, like, I remember, God, years ago, at a conference, and we used to get the big poster paper and the sticky notes, but now where some of us are remote and whatever, this is how you can do it. Process work is probably, I say it's the glue to a business, and it's the glue to the client experience, because clients want predictability. They want stability. If they experience something and they're talking to somebody else who experienced the same thing, it builds like this viral spread of these guys have it together, they're organized, they can handle more clients, they're really great. So you want to work on your processes and go lean. You want to bring some great ideas to that business plan through process work, which is what will happen. Let's play around today and just let me trigger your brains a little bit, okay? So what you're going to do is I would love it if you could either pick onboard a new client or client meeting. And then what I want you to do is think of the what, the who, and the how. And I want you to double click in the boxes and write the steps. Now they're going to come in all sorts of order here, guys, okay? But I'm going to start you on onboarding a new client. Maybe the first what is to send a thank you to the referral source or a welcome letter to the client. And that goes in that little pink sticky note, right? I want you guys to all collaborate and ideate together. On the client meeting, yep, set a meeting. The who can be a role, like client service admin, or it can be a person's name. I would love you to use roles today, please. So client service admin, admin, reception, advisor, you name it. And then on the how, I'm going to move some of these over for you guys, okay? Is just put the technology for now. We'll keep it really non-emotional. So what technology are you using to do the what? All right. And I'm going to minimize a little bit here and watch you guys go. Now, for any of you who are really sophisticated and like, this is no brainer to you, if you go over to the right, you'll see some pink stickies. Those are automation stickies. So for those of you that are like me and use Zapier or Make It or all these things where data goes from one place to another, feel free to write in some automations over on the side. Like things that you think could be done by a tool. And for any of you that don't know this, Zapier and others work with Wealthbox. It's awesome. So the simple things that nobody wants to do can probably be automated. And not that I want Chris to get a zillion emails, but he's brilliant on this. I actually leaned on him for something when I was struggling with building something. So maybe I'll go in there and write a pink. Let's see, what do we want to automate? When someone books a call, window, create, contact, trigger, workflow. And yeah, it's good enough. Right. Always get a little. So there's a little automation right in there. Okay. So here's the deal. If you do this with your team, you build something quicker, not by yourself, not talking to yourself. Okay. No Tom Hanks talking to the volleyball. And it sticks better. What do I mean by stick? When you actually go in and you build out the process and then let's say you bake it into a Wealthbox workflow, for example, okay? You don't have to sell people on it as much. They've been a part of the process. So they're pre-sold. That makes them feel empowered, happy, part of the team. Clients feel that everything's better. The other thing, obviously, about a process is the sooner you build them and the sooner you improve them. Every year you should look at your processes because there's always room for improvement. You are improving the client experience. The clients feel that. Again, remember, they feel the organization, always the same standard answer, the predictability of things. That's what they want, and that builds trust, credibility, referrals. All right. If anybody has any questions on this, I'd love to open the floor. If I could, Chris, for a moment, it's up to you.
Yeah, certainly. I have the Q&A panel opened up here. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to click on Q&A within the Zoom panel, where you could see Jen and the screen here. And I'll let you know if any do pop in here.
So what I'm going to do now is you guys can stay on this board. All right. So when you do the what, if you can, some of you don't have dual monitors and you might be on a phone. But what you'll see now is this muscle memory slide, the other on the main webinar slide. And this idea of now you can move the sticky notes around and draw lines. So for all of you that don't love process work again, or this is not your thing or your jam, all right, you can do this in this system. So I'm going to take pink guys, okay, for a second here. Just got a little bit of fun. And I'm going to draw a straight line, grabbing to here, grab a straight line, grabbing to there. Okay. And maybe this here is a decision break. Now you've just become a process guru. So if you look over to the left and see what I've just did with the intake and the welcome of the gather data, all right? And that's how you get to these beautiful process charts that I'm showing on the other side with the purple and the orange and the yellow. So again, in less than 30 minutes or an hour collaboratively, you can really start to draft out ideas. And what'll come out of that, again, is improvements, both internally and externally. Also, to be fair, for any of you that are in support positions, this is a great way to give yourself a pat on the back and show all the work you're doing behind the scenes, because some owners forget. Number one, how much work, how complicated it is, how many decisions need to be made. So it's kind of wonderful to do, and for that matter, print out and stick up if you're in a office setting. All right. Okay, guys can play, or you can come back to the main slides. I'm going to give you the last, which is a celebration of wins. This is super important for change and obviously lowering change fatigue. And so if you would like to move your eyes back over, that board will be there. I will not shut it down. I will leave it open for the next at least 30 days. So you certainly can keep playing. So feel free to save that. You want the link. Okay. So let's get to the last piece, which is celebrating. So this is super important. And I can attest to this because I am a smaller business. Telling your people and your providers where you've been, your values and your mission, where you're now, what you should be proud of, and where you're headed is so important. So important. So I call this the state of the company. And it's a prezi in that it should be very short and sweet. Doing this with your team, doing this with your providers, mind-blowing. It could be 3 slides and you do it once a quarter. No biggie. Start somewhere, but start. We lose our people when they don't understand what's going on and when we're not forced to articulate it in a short presentation of sorts. It will actually save you. You may not believe me, but for those of you who've done this before, you know, it saves you from major missteps, mistakes, confusion, lots of around the team. So you want to end all your business company meetings with something like this, or actually I say start. That's your choice. Okay. So another change technique. And so now let's just recap. And again, I'll give you the last on the Q&R. So key points. You want to visualize to reduce the change fatigue. You want to create a purpose-focused improvement plan. You want to document your client and your ops experience. You want to collaborate using that IDEOS mindset around your processes. And you want to present progress to your company. And what does that result in? Absolutely a better staff and client experience. You will see that, and there'll be maybe a lag, but you'll see a pickup in spirits and energy and in client feedback. That's all I have. You guys can use the QR codes. There's a handout. And Chris, I'm going to let you put up the other slide with my email at some point for anybody who wants to email me.
Sounds good. And I'll actually leave your screen up for the next couple seconds for anyone that wants to scan those QR codes. But now we'll switch off to our Q&A portion of the presentation. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to click on that Q&A button. It should be at the bottom of your screen there, and feel free to type in any questions that you have on polishing your process or anything you like just from today's presentation. And I have that opened up here on my other screen, so as those questions do come in, I'll be able to address those.
See somebody still playing around on the board. I think that's where they all are. You just want to keep playing.
Yeah, I do see that. I have it pulled up here on my end as well, and I see that number slowly dropping, but there's still a good amount of people still kind of getting their feet wet here, it looks like.
Yep. I think, if I leave this with you, if nothing else, and that's fine if you guys don't have questions today, totally get it. If nothing else, progress over perfection, please. And that's what this is all about. This is about not being alone, not doing things alone, sharing with others in a way that they can take it in, not get overwhelmed, not freak out, right? And really important. So, I know you guys all want these great solutions and, the silver bullet, as you used to say, for the client experience. But the fact is, it starts with you. And, you have to look in to look out and get those clients engaged. So that's all I got.
All right, so with that being said, I'll actually take the screen share over to my end so that we could pull up those follow-up contacts. So I'll go ahead and pull that up here. And of course, we are still within the Q&A phase of the presentation, but I'll actually switch over to the follow-up contact slide. If anyone has any questions on the Wealthbox side, sales@wealthbox.com, or if anyone has any questions for Jen G at myvirtualcoo.com. So I'll leave this up throughout the remainder of the presentation. But I did see a question came in here. Solopreneur to team, what are your thoughts around building the ops experience before the hiring of the team? Jen, what do you have to say to that?
I would love to see that to some extent, because you don't know who you need on your team till you know what you need them to do. So yeah, that board, I think last year we did this. I'm not sure if it was with your crew, was the responsibilities board. So we actually used the same sticky note idea, and we had responsibilities for each area of the business. And then we talked about how when you wrote it and you didn't like it, you moved it. And that was the person you needed to hire. So I think everybody in that compliance, and they're like, yep, I want to outsource that, or I want to hire somebody. So yes, you should. But to be fair, don't do it ad nauseum. You got to look for that people and start interviewing and kissing a lot of frogs while you're doing the exercise of writing out what you want the experience to be.
Right. And if there's anything that I can add to this, I mean, I work with a lot of teams with building out workflows in Wealthbox. And when building those workflows, everything will be assigned to you. But as you do fill a specific role, you know which steps would go to a different person. And if you hire a new person and then you go through the process with the items assigned to you, you might realize it's still too much for me to do. Let's go look for another person, right? So you can easily kind of grow once you have that process solidified in there. It's a really good question here.
It is a great question. Yeah, because it serves as training, right? And also, I don't know, I didn't talk about this, but the dopamine hits of delegating to somebody else are amazing. So if you have it and you're then moving it to somebody else, you're going to get that. It's fun.
And I'm not seeing any other questions here. We'll give it a couple more seconds, maybe a minute or so, see if anyone else has any questions. I'm still seeing there's some folks actually still using that board, which is it's good, right? It's really good to see that that things are spinning and you're starting to think about how do I start planning this out. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm going to leave that out there. So go ahead. I think I have one from like 6 months ago. It looks crazy. We were doing inspirational on that webinar, and oh my goodness, I think people come back to it to use it. Their team, it's fun. Nothing like having anonymous names too. Nobody knows who's really typing. It's even more fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, still not seeing any questions here, so we'll just start kind of wrapping up here. Jen, thank you so much for hosting this conversation, this presentation. This was a lot to learn from, even from my perspective, and I go hands on with a lot of this stuff on a daily basis. So this has been very helpful for myself, and I'm sure for everyone else here. So thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you for having me, and you guys have a great day.
Of course, everyone, have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a great upcoming weekend, and we'll be looking forward to working with each and every one of you. Take care. Bye.